least the music is nice.
Soothing. Relaxing. And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Cheryl Glasser coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Sean's already in a good mood already. We haven't even started yet. All right. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On this weekend's episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos, the PC Multiverse, it's Warhammer 101. So if you want to know more about the Warhammer series, Warhammer IP, as Magic pours a cold one, as we can hear on camera right there for you. All right. Hopefully it's a interesting beverage, to say the least. Go ahead and check out what we're doing today on Warhammer 101 right there for you. Up, there you go. Stella Artois right there for you. Warhammer 101 on Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcast. Plus also as well, of course, we're doing some great things right there at Inside Sports Fantasy Football for your last minute fantasy football fix. Check out the guys. Magic Man Sean Grice, Mr. Stella Artois himself, and of course, Mr. Joe Soro. They were on. Oh, what's he doing now? My gosh, you guys want to go ahead and make some more noise, background noise during all this? Great. So it is, of course, Joe Soro and Magic Man Sean Grice. They were part of our. Oh, he said he'll be right back. Okay. They were part of our Inside Sports Fantasy Football show covering week 4 in the NFL. So go ahead and check that out today, wherever you get your podcasts. Boy, this has gone off to a professional start. I'm so amazed. Also, as well, go ahead and check out, speaking of Joe Soro, who said he'll be right back, go ahead and check out his company, SimBlades, and anytime he graces the halls of Lakers Ball, as Ox 1947, LakersBall.com. Our good friend, Mr. Empire Jeff at Empire Jeff TV, he just got off a stream, I think, just a few minutes ago. So go ahead and check out what his stream on the latest NBA news and notes, going ahead and talking about what's going on around the world, the NBA, right there at Empire Jeff TV. And also our good friend, John McCallion. John McCallion also has some streams right there you got to check out that he did this week. Wishing him well. Hope he'll join us back on the show sooner rather than later. Go ahead and check them out today and subscribe. And speaking of subscribing, please go ahead and subscribe today to go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air. Click on the little Joe with the beady eyes right there below. Magic Man Sean Grice. I don't have really an animated Sean Grice photo or JPEG I could go ahead and exchange. So I think we'll just leave the beady eyed Joe there for now. I think that just fits the mood. Fits what we're all about. You know, people ask, what are you guys all about as far as the Lakers show? I should just always point it to right there, right on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. That's what we're all about right here. And if you click on that, you'll get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. So, yesterday's press conference, which we covered in detail on our most recent episode of the Lakers Fast Break, we covered as far as what went on, what we thought was good and not so good about what was said, what was coach speak, what was GM speak, what was something we could actually, sink our teeth into, something that was real, something that was just facade, something that was just making our eyes roll. But in the midst of all that hour press conference discussion type deal, something really stuck out to me. And that was the conversation always seemed to turn back into one individual. And not always LeBron, not always AD, not always Austin Reeves, not D'Angelo Russell, not Rui Hashimura. They were all mentioned. But it wasn't Taurean Prince. It wasn't Gabe Vincent. It wasn't Jackson Hayes. It wasn't Cam Reddish. It wasn't Jalen Hood-Schifino. It wasn't Maxwell Lewis. No. It was always seemed to be going as far as the conversation to Christian Wood. So I'm here today asking the guys here at the Lakers Fast Break, and you, the audience, as well. I heard that he's the X factor. I heard that there's so much importance writing on this. Rob Pelinka himself said he was constantly in touch all summer long with Christian Wood's agent. Why is that the case? Why is Christian Wood going to be so important for the Lakers? What design do they have in mind for Christian Wood? Is it the plans that we all talked about during the course of the summer when we were trying to think that the Lakers were, which they were indeed, courting Christian Wood? Here today to go ahead and discuss his thoughts on how important this guy that we actually signed to just a veteran's minimum contract is to the future season of the Los Angeles Lakers. Good man indeed. He's the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic and stayed up late with us, drinking some Stella Artois with us. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, drinking some fine vintage there, my friend. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, Gerald. How are you this evening?
I'm just fabulous for a Friday night here in Las Vegas. Everything seems to be going okay while we're waiting back on Joe to return. Your thoughts on this, my friend? Because again, the tweets that were sent out, the transcripts that I got a chance to read, and the articles that I got a chance to check out always seem to point always back to this one individual, Christian Wood, giving you the impression that he is much more important to the Lakers season than a veteran's minimum would have you make you believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll use a dessert analogy to kind of describe this situation. So offensively, um, he's got the potential, Gerald, to be the cherry on top. However, I'll say this right now, he's not peaches and cream for our defense. We got to see it to believe it. What he's been promised. Look, Gerald, I think what he does really well is he's a pick and pop guy. That I think that's his number one skill for this team.
Mhm.
Despite who he plays with, whether it's LeBron on the LeBron. Gerald, I have a feeling that they're gonna really try and surround Christian Wood with playmakers and facilitators who can drive to the basket as well,
Mhm.
um, because it opens up space for Wood as well, and Wood's ability to open up space for others is integral as well. But that requires a sacrifice on his part, Gerald, because he has to be more of a pick and pop guy than the
Mhm.
actual primary facilitator. That's where the juice is here. So whether or not he's playing with either LeBron's on the floor or D'Lo or Gabe Vincent or Reeves as such, Gerald, he's going to have at least two or three other guys there who can put the ball on the floor and create for others. If there's his zone defense or somebody's really trapping well. I just think that's number one is his pick and pop ability. Number
Mhm.
two, look, we do know Gerald. He's a very adept offensive rebounder, and that was something we were severely lacking, especially at critical moments in games. So his ability to create for others, putting the ball on the floor, and be a very good offensive rebounder is what's secondary. That's what's secondary for him. And then he provides the Lakers with another versatile skill set. What he's able to do as a help defender, as everybody likes to point out, is that if he's allowed to be a sweeper, so to speak, uh, sort of what the Chicago Bulls do with Patrick Williams and Alex Caruso drilled. They just have Alex Caruso as the bulldog on the perimeter, and they allow Patrick to be a sweeper. I think that's kind of the idea that they're going to have for Christian Wood when he's out there with Anthony Davis is that you're the sweeper. Uh, your job is to be the best help defender you can, and Anthony's the rim protector. He's the last line of defense.
Well, the thing is, though, that gets me is, I understand. I've actually, as I said it before, I've been watching Christian Wood since UNLV. I've seen him many years. And in fact, I was the first one to really, from this show, be on the Christian Wood hype train so many years ago when I included him in a package with what was it, Derrick Rose and Markieff Morris to bring him here. Now, obviously, we did bring in Markieff Morris. He got waived. We picked him up on the buyout market, et cetera, et cetera. We won the championship. You know the story. But the guy that I was really pointing to in that trade was Christian Wood because I saw what he could do as a pick and pop guy. I saw the potential, even though he was still just starting to come on as a guy that was only brought in as a 15th guy. He just beat out, I think, Joe Johnson, I think, for the final roster spot at that point in time, et
Mhm.
cetera, et cetera. So he's evolved himself to the point where he became a very efficient shooter. He became as far as an acceptable big man in several areas. Defense not, yeah, still not there at that point in time, but he got enough to get one nice contract out of it. Played a couple years for Houston, but then he got unceremoniously traded over to Dallas, who was going to say, okay, we're going to try and really see what we can do with Christian Wood. Well, that floundered after a year. Again, he has burned so many bridges. We'll see what he can do here. But it was curious to me how so much of this press conference, Sean, was centered around what they hope they can do with Christian Wood, but also Christian Wood the person, also Christian Wood the search for finding him a way to get onto the Lakers. Just a lot of this press conference was about him in particular, almost as if, and I said this yesterday, almost as if they were trying to already with his, maybe it's just because we talked about before the possible ego issues and stuff that he's had to deal with before as far as how he perceives himself, how the rest of the league. I already see the mind games on how the Lakers may be able to or are trying to go ahead and maybe, I don't want to say coddle him, but trying to make him feel extra special welcome, even over the other additions they got to this team, Magic Man. I mean, it
Yes,
just seems peculiar.
yes, Gerald.
They
Like,
went out of their way.
hmm they
So
did.
what does that tell you, my friend?
That tells me that somebody's very squishy, soft when it comes to their ego, Gerald, and
It
they
sounds like it,
it
doesn't it?
needs a massage every once in a while just to feel better, I guess. That's what it feels like to be as well, Gerald.
The kind of the amount of minutes, the amount of time that they spent on Christian Wood, they usually would afford to like a big signee or a big trade for a marquee player that they got in. Like a couple years ago when they really thought they hit the number with Russell Westbrook, which I knew they didn't, but that's beside the point. But Russell Westbrook, they were making a big deal about bringing him in here, integrating the offense, yada yada yada. They're doing these same things for a guy that they signed the minimum. And of course, I am being a little bit facetious in that I do know how important he is to, if he blows up or if he plays well, like previous signees, Malik Monk, and, to a little lesser extent, Lonnie Walker and whatnot, but that he does make a major contribution. I understand how important it is, but it just seemed peculiar how he was singled out so much in that press conference, Sean.
Yeah, Gerald. It obviously was a point of emphasis to, you're going to be probably bombarded with questions about him, and you just gotta try and build up that reputation back as much as possible. I mean, it's twofold here, Gerald. Everyone knows what he can do on the court. It's just his attitude at this point. It needs to change significantly if someone's going to give him the bag. No, honestly, I think if he plays well but has the same attitude he's had in the past, Gerald, it's not good. This relationship's not going to work out. So, uh, his attitude needs to change as well. And it sounds like that. That, you're playing both sides isms there. Like, yeah, Christians coming in and we got big plans for him and it's going to be an expanded role, and that's wonderful and that's great. But Gerald, there often comes a time uh when Christian Wood is dissatisfied with his role, either because matchups dictate that he doesn't play as much, and or again, the attitude problems come into play, and he seems to fall out of a rotation and into the doghouse.
Once again, it is Magic Man Sean Grice, Gerald Glassford, and also as well here today. Good man indeed. It is Joe Soro, Joe from Simblades, SimbladesWithAY.com, and also as well, of course, don't forget the work that he does at Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. My friend, this is the reason why I wanted to talk Christian Wood today. Wanted to wait. Again, remember, all those other Laker shows that did 5,000 Laker podcasts over the summer on Christian Wood. I wanted to really not do that many and just wait until if the Lakers did indeed get him and just evaluate to see what they were thinking in the process. And now that they do have him on the roster, it seems like, Joe, that they really have some big plans for him in place.
The big plans is that he has talent that's way above his pay grade, and he's a young player, and he's at a position that can not only help their main star or one of their main stars, but he also can fill a void that we needed to fill, which we haven't really had since 2020. The attitude part is it's eerily similar to Hassan Whiteside. Hassan Whiteside's almost a mirror of what I've been hearing about Christian Wood in terms of him being a locker room issue and an attitude issue. I although the difference between the two, I felt like Hassan Whiteside had an IQ problem as well. He wasn't very bright. Christian Wood doesn't necessarily come off that way. I think he just comes off as a guy that's stubborn and kind of a pain in the rear end. Cam Reddish is another player that's had that stigma the last few years. So it's interesting the Lakers are taking a risk, even though it's minor, on two players that have been known to kind of, let's say, alienate themselves from the crowd and coaches. And if you had watched Jason Kidd's press conference today, you would have seen him still taking a jab indirectly at Christian Wood by making it very clear that he was happy to be talking to players that weren't whining about their playing time and how many minutes they had. So looking at Christian Wood's season last year, he only started 17 games from the 67 he played. The reason why he was frustrated, and I don't think this is speculation or a guess, I believe this is 100%, he wanted to get the big contract. And by him not starting, that became a problem. So now, what does Christian Wood do that can help the Lakers? What can Christian Wood do that's different than any other big that they've had since the LeBron era? Wow. So, Rob, Darvin are probably telling Christian Wood, you are playing with the greatest player of this era, with a two-way player that might be the best two-way player of the last 10 years, arguably. And you are going to have an immense amount of opportunities to hit that corner three with no one around you except one guy trying to chase you, and all the rebounds you can get because there's so much focus on those players. And that's likely what they've been talking about. That's likely what they've been trying to pump him up with, because if he has a great year, what's a great year for Christian Wood? Well, his best season was 21 points and just a smidge below 10 rebounds. Numbers can be deceiving, numbers can be empty, but a player getting a almost 2010 season playing 67 games or however many he played that year. I believe it was that 1 year in 2021 where they had the quick start to the season. I think he only played half the season, or at least almost half the season. So he had pretty good numbers there. But then the following season, he played 68 games. He started 67 and went 18-10 and was 39% from three. If we get that Christian Wood playing that many games, you are going to see a massive positive in the Lakers side, and of course for Christian Wood, because he is going to get what he wants at the end of the year should the Lakers go deep into the playoffs, possibly win it. And if he's part of the positive on that, um, he is going to be compensated.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We're talking Christian Wood, and I guess a chance to go ahead in the latest press conference for Rob Pelinka and also as well Darvin Ham. They spoke highly of him and how important he is to the future of this roster and this season going forward. So, Magic Man, how much do you weigh on the hopes of Christian Wood for a good season for the Lakers? Because you, along with, I was on the fence. I know that Joe and Laker Tom, especially Laker Tom, we talked about how many backflips he was doing because the Lakers signed Christian Wood. Joe is very high on the signing. I'm okay on it. I just think I got to see Christian Wood, because Christian Wood over the years has not been always the greatest team player to speak of. So I really got to see if he buys into what the Lakers are going to be doing, and the fact that he's never been on a playoff team. I don't think it's always by coincidence, but your thoughts, my friend. You were on the other end of the spectrum. You along. Well, I think Jamie was probably the one that is most against the acquisition. But your thoughts on Christian Wood? How well or how important does a good season for Christian Wood really make for this team?
Uh, it's pretty much essential, Gerald, because um, well, a lot of us detested the three guard lineup. We've just received
Oh,
a
Z's
very
favorite lineup.
yeah. Look,
Sorry, Z. Just kidding. Just kidding, Z. Just kidding.
as much as I might be skeptical of this signing, if he has a usage rate between 15 and 20%, Gerald, and he's still this efficient, then that means this is working. And that's a positive because that's a mind screw. I'm not going to use the other term that's associated with it. Will mind screw Darvin Ham's three guard lineup because that means that Christian Wood has become an effective player in a lineup, probably with an assortment of LeBron, AD, either Vando and or Rui plus Austin Reeves and or D'Lo. Um, with a five-man lineup like that, Gerald, it's a mind screw. It prevents Darvin Ham from going to his baser instincts, which we know is the three guard lineup, and he'll have to live with the hybrid lineup. And personally, I would rather play a hybrid lineup. I would rather have three or four guys out there alongside Christian Wood who could put the ball on the floor, run the fast break, be a secondary facilitator. I mean, my God, if you had LeBron, AD, Christian Wood, uh, Austin Reeves, and D'Lo out on the floor, that's four out of the five guys that could be secondary facilitators of just about every single other team in the NBA, Gerald. So uh, I think it's incumbent upon the team, especially, to just share the ball. I mean, the ball has to move. I don't want to see a lot of ISO stuff either. If Christian Wood is not your pick a pop guy, then put him in DHOs. Do something because isolation basketball is just going to be poison for this team as well, along with the three guard lineup.
So I ask you, Joe, when it comes to Christian Wood, I mean, it just, to me, I have my concerns, and obviously, if I explained why on several occasions, but I am not as against the deal as what Sean, and then even to a more extent, Jamie is on it, because they're at the other end of the spectrum. Yeah, again, he's got to have his mind right, and he's saying some of the right things right now. But as you and I have seen over the course of our many years watching the NBA, there's a lot of times where people can say these things up front, and then it goes awry the first time they get a DMP or the first time they're not playing in the final 5 minutes of a crunch game. Your thoughts on what Christian Wood needs to do to make sure that he stays a vital member of the Los Angeles Lakers this season?
Make open shots. He's going to get a lot of them. And his ability to spread the floor as a big with AD on the other side is why he's here. If he can do that, he's going to spread the floor because he is a threat to make those shots. And if he makes two of those shots every game, it's sayonara for anybody trying to compete with the Lakers. In all honesty, there's just, you have no shot at beating LeBron running an open offense and shooters making shots. It's that simple. And you can put Vando on that in that lineup without having to worry about him making shots either. You can stick him on any 3-and-D player or any wing that's dominant like a Kevin Durant or whomever, and that's what's going to keep everything balanced. So let's look at a lineup of Gabe Vincent, LeBron, Vando, AD, and Christian Wood. This is a lineup that I've been thinking about today. You're going to have two defensive players, LeBron doing what he can do. You have the best defender when he's healthy in the league, in my opinion, in AD. You have three players that can play defense, and then you have a big that can make a shot from deep. I mean, I think the balance there could be beneficial in a lot of ways. And they're young players. So if you want to run with LeBron, Gabe Vincent, Vando, those guys want to run and have AD trailing, and then having maybe Christian Wood kind of seeping through and finding a spot. I think you have a better chance at running and gunning with that kind of lineup than you do anybody else. Obviously, Austin Reeves will play a part in that, and D'Lo at some point. But in terms of trying to get as much balance as you can on a team, instead of saying, oh, shoot, if we have these two guys in the lineup, our defense is likely going to be weak on the strong side or the weak side, however that gets played out. That team right there, that particular lineup is kind of a lineup that I want to see Darvin Ham throw out there. Gabe Vincent, Vando, LeBron, AD, and Christian Wood. I want to see that lineup, and I want to see what they can do, because that could be that closing lineup in certain games. I want to see that.
So, Magic, one of the things that has been very much a distraction or whatever you want to say in regards to a minus for Christian Wood is his defense. And I see Zangerstein in the chat. So great to have her here. AD is more elite as a roaming helper. He is much good everywhere, just not directly on a scoring center like Jokic.
That's what Gerald. That's what happened in the Denver series.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fact that Rui was effective against Jokic. It was more to the point that AD was allowed to see what else was going on. One person can't stop Jokic. It's going to be a 5-man defense that needs to try and keep that Frankenstein in check. So it was less about Rui, who was effective on possessions, no doubt about it, but it was more to the point about what Z was saying there. That's where AD flourishes.
So I ask you, my friend, where he has not been known to flourish, and thank you so much, Intel, for the super chat. He says, I'll super chat $30 if we get to 20 likes. So if we get to 20 likes tonight, he's going to super chat. Let's go. Let's go. So I ask you, my friend, when it comes to Christian Wood, I know people will say, oh, his defense is not so bad. People that are Lakers fans and Lakers supporters and all that. But when I hear from outside, when I see and talk to NBA analysts from all over, and when I look at the numbers statistically, you guys would point out the 2 block shots a game that he gets over the course of 48 minutes. I would point out the defensive rating that he has that's absolutely substandard. And the fact that so many people think, no one, I don't even think there's many people out there, as far as the NBA analysts are concerned, that think he's even an average defender at best right now coming to the Lakers. I've never heard anything more than a below average to absolutely terrible defender being quoted for Christian Wood. That has to change if he wants to play some prime minutes down the stretch of games, whether in the regular season or in the playoffs. If he wants to go ahead and help out AD, and he becomes that player where he's even giving you average defense, he's able to go ahead and help. and AD. As far as AD, let's say he's playing Jokic, but if he can come over and double team or help, he can provide some distraction. You've got a 6'10" player with a nice long wingspan that can help you out, but he's never really had that mentality, Sean. Your thoughts on this? Because really, I think that's where the problem starts when Christian Wood, when you talk about whether or not he can make a major contribution to the Lakers this season.
Yeah, Gerald. One of the most effective moves that Vogel made during the run of the championship was that he made certain that there was either uh, a strong wall on the perimeter and or a strong wall inside of the paint. He usually asked Alex Caruso, KCP, and or Kuzma to do the dirty work on the perimeter, and then normally Dwight or JaVale were allowed to be rim deterrents, and AD was the roamer, the sweeper, and he was just a monster, Gerald. Um, if Wood cannot be disciplined, Gerald, that is a problem. That's where this has to be better. He guys cannot be putting their hands on his hips and telling him you need to be here, you need to go over there. He has to be at a certain spot at a certain time, Gerald, and obviously it's gonna take some work. We understand that, but eventually he's going to have to. It's going to have to click. Like the light's going to have to turn on, Gerald. You remember that light you turned on in the basement and it was just flickering. It was just
Yep.
yeah, that light needs to come on for him eventually, and hopefully it'll be before the All Star break, where he finally gets it, it clicks in, and he understands his role defensively. We know what he can do offensively. That's not the question. It's are you going to play 25 minutes, or are you going to play 30, Christian? Are you a Mexican or a Mexicant?
That's one way to say it, Joe. Again, when it comes to Christian Wood,
I'm
and
not
I
Johnny
really
Depp. I can't deliver that line like him,
no,
but that
please
was
don't.
great.
Yes, it was great.
Please
Absolutely.
do. Please do.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Joe, when it comes to Christian Wood and the defensive side of the ball, that's where I had the most concern. That's why I couldn't be as favored of the acquisition as
I have
you
no
and
fear. I have no
you have no
concern.
fear. You have no concern on his
You're
defense
getting
at all.
a player who is very productive for a minimum contract.
And that's true. For that price, I can't say I blame you.
I have no concern. I have absolutely zero concern other than the health of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And all we need, we've already seen Austin Reeves be who he is. He's going to be fine. We know D'Angelo Russell's game. We know Rui's going to play solid at least. He's not going to shoot 45% from three, but I'm sure he'll shoot at least 38. We've got Vando, who's improved a little, at least in the offseason. We just need him to make the layups when he gets to that basket. That's all we're asking him to do. I think he can do that. After that, I don't really give two squirts about anything else. I don't care. If these guys all fall off the cliff, the ones that came in that prove something, they're all minimum players. Who cares? Okay. At the end of the day, there's going to be 7 players going to the playoffs that are going to matter. That's what's going to matter. If we can get 8 and 9, cool. Heck yeah. Go Lakers. Go Rob. Go LeBron. Go everybody.
What did Riles always say, Joe? Use 8, rotate 7, use 6, trust 5.
We've been around a long time. We know what the hell is. We have seen enough of this. I don't think we need to sit here and pat ourselves in the back like Barry Horowitz.
Who's still wrestling today, by the way.
Good for him.
Wanted to let you
Good
know.
for him. The greatest jobber in the history of professional wrestling.
Ooh, that's actually he's up there. I don't know if
he's number one. Don't argue with me on that one.
I will argue with you.
No,
Always
you
on
won't.
that. Yeah, no. There's no way you could tell me pro wrestling. No way.
I just told you.
Oh, I'll tell you differently.
Who's the worst jobber?
The Mulkeys, Lee Scott.
No one knows
You know
who the
what?
Mulkeys are. No one knows who Lee Scott
Oh
is.
no, if you know pro wrestling, you
Everyone
do.
knows who Barry Horowitz is.
No, not
Mhm.
everybody knows pro.
So
No,
you already
no,
lost the
Yeah,
argument. You already
no.
lost it.
he's right.
Steve
He's,
Lombardi,
he's
you could
right.
say is just as bad. So don't tell me that. That's
Don't
a
tell
bit
me
from
the
wrong.
Brooklyn Brawler. Come on, give me a break. He wasn't
Oh, but
a
Joe,
jobber.
Joe. Didn't you love
Barry
the Brooklyn
Horowitz
Brawler?
lost. That was his job.
All right, let's get back to the. You see, there you go, Kurt. That was Kurt's favorite jobber. So there you go. Sorry, you lose. But when getting back to Christian Wood, there, Magic Man. When it comes to Christian Wood, again, Joe doesn't seem to be concerned about the defense. I am concerned about the defense because that ultimately, I think he will probably hit 35 to 38% from behind the arc. That's not in question. He'll probably show some flashes of somebody that can really contribute on the offensive end that'll make everybody go, yes, this is what we wanted. But it's the defensive end that's going to actually ultimately keep him on the floor, my friend, or keep him, as far as the amount of minutes he will play. That's the ultimate concern I have. Your thoughts, Magic Man?
Yeah, I agree, Gerald. If he can, like again, it's kind of it'd be a best of both worlds situation because he would be playing effectively defensively. It would be a mind screw to Darvin Ham to play that three guard lineup, which Laker fans have detested since they heard those 1 to 5 syllables, and we don't want to really hear them again. So if he's playing effectively defensively, it means that again this is working. But I think we and like Joe said, we know what we're talking about. It's no more it's no more ad nauseum than it's been in the past. He needs to be disciplined and effective enough to be put on an island by himself and understand what he's supposed to do. He hasn't been able to do that as of yet, Joe. He hasn't been able to demonstrate he knows how to yet. How a lot of that has to do with coaching. A lot of it has to do with circumstance, Gerald. He was on a team in Houston that had a 20-game losing streak. That's one of the it's in the top 10 of worst losing streaks in NBA history. And Wood was on that team, by the way. There's a correlation to the causation with him defensively. Yeah, he can give you 17, 7, and 5 in 23, 28 minutes. But as much as he's scoring 17 points, he can give up 20, 25 on the other end.
Intel, I'm just tell you what, I am so humbled by your generosity and kindness. Thank you giving us a $30 super chat, telling us we're the best Lakers channel on YouTube because you out there gave us 20 likes for tonight's show, and we are truly indebted to you for doing so. We cannot thank you enough because this helps us out. This helps us out a long way to get where we need to go as far as the channel here. But I'm telling you what, Intel, just truly appreciate it. And any generosity is greatly appreciated by all of us from the Lakers Fast Break. You are the best, Intel. Absolutely, indeed. I want to say, though, right now, when it comes to Christian Wood, offensively, Joe, what kind of sets do you see them running with him? Pick and pop? Do you see them running, some screens? How much will they integrate his assets, his skills into the Lakers
Get the
offense?
hell out of the way. Let LeBron dish. Let LeBron drive and dish. That's where his talent belongs.
Yeah, if like Joe was saying, if Wood and AD is not going to be a lot like the double horns we saw with Powell and Lamar Odom or Andrew Bynum Gerald, it's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a lot of DHOs. Wood likes to pick and pop, so you're gonna have to have like Gerald. I think one of the big reasons why they expect a big role out of Christian Wood is, did you see the definition on Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be asked to set a lot of screens this year, Gerald. I'm sure more screens than he's had to set probably since maybe his last year in New Orleans. But if he can do it, he's one of the best, Gerald. He's just he, that's one part of his game that is completely underrated and understated. He is a 7 foot tree, and he could set really hard screens. Yes, he's got a little bit of an injury history, no doubt about that. But don't ever question his. It's not as if he avoids physicality, Gerald. It's
Mhm.
it's 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 about load with AD. It's always been that way. Some guys can handle a bigger load than others. And with him, look, we understand, brother, you don't want to play the center position, but you played it 99% of the time last year.
I think he's
99%.
resigned. He's resigned to doing it now because
Yes.
they
Yes,
could
that's
not
what
find him something that would appeal, or they could not find a match, perfect match, like a Jonas Valanciunas, someone who's bigger, who can still stretch the floor. Someone like that would have been a great fit alongside AD. So AD would have played the four. Christian Wood, good size, but still, he is not going to be large enough or big enough to be able to take that five spot continuously from AD.
We don't know that.
well
I'm pretty sure
If
of that.
he makes those shots, you will see an AD Christian Wood front line.
No, I hope to
Shot
see a lot
making,
of it.
guys. Shot making. It's the best part of the interview yesterday with Rob and Darvin Ham. Shot making. It's about shot making. And the more you spread the floor in a LeBron offense and you make shots, you will not lose.
So you have LeBron and AD, and then you have Christian Wood as your five, which you said they will probably test with, and they'll probably test at times from time to time. The problem is on the defensive end, my friend.
Yeah.
If they're hitting shots still from the defensive end, who do they guard?
And how does the NBA play basketball these days? Where do they make where are they shooting their shots mostly?
From behind the arc or inside?
Correct. So now if Christian Wood is such a bad defender, wouldn't you think that a team would exploit him going to the basket? That's where his
Well,
weakness is, right?
I'm sure they will.
Okay, but they won't do that because we're a 3-point happy league now. So they're not going to make every one of those shots. But if he's positive on the offensive side, the Lakers are going to be making shots every time they get to the floor, every time they go on the offensive path. And then when they get back on defense, the other team's going to be shooting threes left and right. They're not going to make every shot. So now, in terms of how that turns out in the scoring setup, Lakers can go on a 10-2 run and be fine because Christian Wood is not being exploited at the basket or maybe a big that can play him one-on-one. Those days are gone. Good team defense can mask a lot of his issues. He's a 7'3" wingspan guy who can play center and can shoot the ball. You can deal with a little bit of the deficiency on the defensive end. And of course, when AD's not playing, he'll slide into that position as well. That's something that we have to consider and make sure that we can take advantage of.
But on the other end, you'll have, again,
Can't keep looking at everything.
Well,
on
you look at
every
it one side,
roster.
I'm looking at the other side.
It seems like every discussion is about someone's weakness.
Either. He's not an Iron Man
I can
either.
keep on doing that.
Well, hold on. So let's look at his statistics for the last year. The last 2 years, he's played 68 and 67 games. That's relatively a full season for the pansies of this era. Am I right or wrong?
Pretty much you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. The last 3 seasons, he's played 26 minutes, and that's with him not being, I guess, played a lot by Jason Kidd. The year before that, he was just a smidge below 31 minutes. And then the year, my opinion, the best year he was a little over 32 minutes a game. That's a pretty darn good amount of minutes played. You're essentially playing 2.5 quarters every game.
Rating.
But he's not an Iron Man. He fractured his thumb in Dallas. He's had ankle problems in Houston and New Orleans.
Just a normal player as far as health is concerned.
Exactly. It's not.
But that hasn't happened the last 3 seasons. Right? Well,
he fractured his thumb last year. That's why he missed a lot of time.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yes, that's true. Okay, so, well, again,
but that's a thumb injury. We're
going to go back to the same reason this might not work: injuries. Denver won the title last year in a lot of ways because they didn't get one major injury from anybody, and that's That was their good luck after having terrible luck with injuries, especially with Jamal Murray. So now, if we're gonna discuss players' positive roles in this thing, we other than injuries, we know who these guys are, and I believe there's going to be a lot of enhancement in those games because they are playing with LeBron James and AD, and that has to be taken into consideration. We're going to find out very quickly. The Lakers have to kind of put themselves in a position right off the bat. They have a lot of road games to start this season, and they're playing two of the best teams in the West right out the gate. You got to at least go 1-1 in those games to kind of give yourself a little bit of a boost. If you come out and get blown out by Denver and Phoenix in the first two games, you know how the Laker Nation works. They're going to freaking start worrying about everything, right? And then we're going to be sitting on here asking why is Darvin Ham running a 5-player guard lineup at that point, right?
All I'm going to say is at this point, again, when it comes to Christian Wood, you see the benefits, you see the positivity, you see the fact that he could go ahead and stretch the
I don't
floor,
think we
Sean.
knew other than what we know about the shooting part. The other stuff's what we're going to wait on. Is he going to be a cancer? Is he going to be whatever, right?
Well, that's what there's a reason why. Again, I have been following his career since UNLV. I know if anybody on the panel has seen Christian Wood over the years, it is myself. I don't say it out of just spite. I don't say it out of conceit. I just say it because I've seen a lot of footage over the years of Christian Wood. Again, you've seen Christian Wood's defensive rating. He just comes off, Sean, his worst defensive rating of his career. It's what these are not coincidences. Now, maybe it's just buy-in, maybe it's just scheme, maybe it's just him not wanting to go ahead and exert himself on that end of the floor. He has to understand when it comes to the Lakers, they're a team that's expected to win 50 games plus this season. That's what most people, most analysts, most here in Vegas are saying, that they're going to be right around 47 to 52 wins. That's one of the top teams in the NBA. He's going to have to go ahead and have that mindset to go ahead and play well on both ends of the floor, or he will not see much playing time if everyone's healthy, Sean.
No, he won't. He won't, Gerald, because this is the most talented defensive roster he's ever been on.
That is incorrect. I do not know where Christian Wood drank when he was here in Las Vegas. I'm assuming because he was, doing the college thing, that he was partaking those kinds of things, probably somewhere near campus. There are several places to go to near campus. And no, I've not frequented them all. Maybe Joe will at some point in time, but we'll see.
Why would
But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell, Magic Man Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much.
Vegas.
I know. It was just you going to frequent. Never mind. It is the Lakers Fast Break. Shaking your head. Don't you shake your head at me. Don't you shake your head at me. There you go. I've never participated in illegal drugs. Absolutely. That is an absolute fact right there for you. Although I've been to many places that have partaken in that type of thing. Again, when Las Vegas has legalized marijuana, it's all over the place now. But I will say, when it comes to Christian Wood, what? You can go through a drive-through, man, and buy marijuana only in Vegas.
I'm happy for you all. Good. I'm seeing that.
It's supposed to help
driving and picking up.
Yes, your favorite place to go.
Driving to go pick up drugs. That's real good. Real positive in society there.
There you go. Gambling and drugs. It's only here in Vegas. There you go.
Keep up the good work there, Vegas. Keep up the good work.
Hey, doesn't California also have a legal cannabis
Laker
market
Tom.
as well, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Joe?
You mean where all the targets decided to bounce? All those areas run by people.
Okay, that got very dark very quickly.
Yeah.
All right,
Joe.
I don't like drugs.
Joe just went.
I don't like drugs either.
Joe just went like Sin City on us.
Yeah, exactly. My gosh.
I'm not really, I don't like drugs.
I really love Sin City. Yes, I love Sin City. Yes,
as do I.
I like the movie Sin City. Yeah, it's a great movie.
But the problem is they went back to again and they tried a sequel, and that kind of did.
I told you guys, my favorite part is when you're walking and smelling it when there's children around. That's my favorite part.
Well, Disneyland, that's the
Ugh.
first time. The first time I actually ever smelt marijuana was I was on
Mhm.
Autopia, and the car in front of me would light
Oh, oh,
in
okay.
Disneyland.
That's where all the stoners go.
Exactly. I was like,
No,
Disneyland.
you don't
I
smell
was a
marijuana at
teenager, and I was like,
Disneyland.
"What is
Oh
that?
yeah,
What is that
Joe,
smell?"
I've heard.
You just catch all the viruses and diseases in Disneyland.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's got that right. Yes, he's got that right indeed. But getting back to
So
Christian Wood,
avoiding Disneyland is on top of the list
Is
for
imperative in your
when I
life.
visit California. I will
no,
have Joe make sure I
Used to
never
be
you got to go
great,
try
Sean. It
Disneyland
used to be
once,
great.
Sean.
It used to
Yeah,
be great. I
there
loved
we go.
Disneyland in the 2000s. Oh man, we had so much fun there. Then they decided
Exactly, Kurt.
to let every human being that can ever breathe air in there, in terms of financing, in terms of if you drop from the sky. I mean, everybody. And then it turned into a complete and utter useless cesspool of trash. Their
slop
food is
rule.
garbage.
Sean,
It's
if you're
just
going to
not a
do
good
one, I would
experience.
say go to Disney World because
I would go
it
to
is much
Universal.
larger.
Go to Universal. Great
Eh,
place.
eh,
Gate A, get the Gate A, pay a little extra for the Gate A. You'll be
eh,
able to get into every ride, and
Universal's,
it's a good time.
it's Universal's, it's meh. Depends on where you go.
That's what every
Universal.
Disneyland fan says.
I'm not. Yeah, I'll go. Well, sorry,
Well,
Universal's.
Universal, so they have
You do the Harry
dinosaurs,
Potter land. You
right?
go to Super Mario Land once. You go to Harry Potter Land once. That's it. That's all she wrote. Then you got the kind of Marvel Land where they have the rights to it. They don't have the rights to it at the one in Florida. So yeah, absolutely, it's all right.
Didn't Universal do Jurassic Park?
Yeah, they have Jurassic Park. They have a
Yeah,
water ride.
but
And
they
that's
got
pretty good.
Mummy,
I like
dinosaurs,
that.
right?
Transformers,
So they
Yeah,
got
Fast and the Furious.
so what Joe's saying is Disney
He-
World has dinosaurs.
He left like 90% of everything that's good out of that.
Jurassic Park water. They don't have much, which means they don't have much. That's good.
They have
Yeah,
plenty, believe me.
Go to Disney World.
And I don't
Disney World.
catch the HIV being over there either.
You'll catch something there, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Once again, though, it's Lakers fast break. Christian Wood, Joe, when it comes to Christian Wood, okay, let's accentuate the positives because you want to accentuate the positives and you don't want us to deal with the negatives, but we will, as we have ultimately we will. When it comes to the positives, though, again, I'm not going to tell you differently in regards to the things that he can do to stretch out the, as far as for what he can do, as far as when he's in there, stretching it out to the 3-point line, being able to draw away the defense. They do have to respect his outside shot. If he does hit between 37 and 40% from 3-pointers, he is that effective big that you're so looking for, that we're so looking for. The thing is, he has to hit the shots outside. Are you afraid he's going to get the Joe Soro Laker curse when it comes to the lights being so bright in Los Angeles? His numbers will go down from the outside.
Well, I mean, he's really not played in any situation in any team. I think almost every team he's played for, except for that 1 year in Milwaukee, it's Detroit, Houston, Dallas, pretty much.
Oh, Joe,
bottom.
he's been playing in front of like 12,000 people for his entire career.
I understand that, but his teams have stunk. I mean, even the Philly team in 16, that was during the process, right? And then he played in Charlotte, played in Milwaukee, which was actually a really good team in 19. They won 60 games. And then New Orleans Pelicans, Detroit, Houston, and Dallas. And that's,
he's never played on a winning team.
how do you really know until you see it? But there's a very likelihood that you're going to go dip down in your numbers and that. However, he does have an incentive that's different. Guys like him and Reddish and guys like Jackson Hayes, these guys will have a little bit more motivation to play for their next contract. And he, meaning Christian Wood, has a position open if he wants it. Reddish, Jackson Hayes, those guys are not starting no matter what they do. Christian Wood has a chance to start at center should he hit his outside shot and play at least a little bit of defense. Because not only is he going to be able to spread the floor, folks, the NBA is about spreading the floor. And the greatest player in need of open floor space is LeBron James. You do that, you will have a much better chance at winning. You know why? because LeBron James will get you the damn ball if you're open. All you got to do
So
is make it.
So let me ask you this, Sean. I want to bring in a couple of current affairs questions. I'm not trying to ignore them in any way, shape, or form. And to be when you go off on a tangent on Disneyland, drugs, and Las Vegas,
Well,
this seems to
Gerald,
happen that way. But
every time I hear Kurt Affair's name, I just hear that theme music. Da,
Dum,
da,
dum.
da.
well, that's current affair. But he did current affair for a different reason. Okay, I'll just let it out of the bag. That's the original name that Harrison Ford, because he was having so much trouble when he was a actor, struggling actor. What he tried to do is, they said, what should he said to him, to exactly, because they wanted him to change his name. What should I do? Change my name to Kurt Affair? So there you go. That's the story. Kurt, I'm sorry I had to go ahead and let that out of the bag, but yes, I
Well,
wanted to go ahead.
okay. So since that's out there,
But
Gerald,
I'm going to touch on his
hold
questions
on?
though.
Wait.
Okay,
Trivia question for you. Do you know they had?
I knew it.
Do you know? Did you
Good
know
one,
that?
good one, Joe. I
What
will
wa-
give you.
what was the alias that Leonardo DiCaprio's agency wanted him to use?
Oh, I forgot. I knew this long ago.
Balls Mahoney.
No,
ECW.
Lenny
Go ahead.
Williams. Lenny Williams.
Yeah, I used to know that one, but I haven't heard that one in so many years.
What
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
what was Vinny Chase and Entourage's name? Something Bill Kid Rumpelstiltskin or something. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't remember what it
no,
was.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was something stupid like that. Yeah,
That's why, as he says, that's why there's an indie pick in the display, because it is based off of Harrison Ford. But let me
Yeah, I
give you
think
the
Ron
first.
Mexico was the best one.
Let me give you the first Kurt Affair question. It was from earlier. He wants to know, in your opinion, Sean, the best playmaking lineup.
playmaking lineup:
Yes, playmaking lineup. That's the first Kurt Affair question.
Gabe
I'll give Joe
Vincent,
the second one.
Austin Reeves, LeBron James.
Good question.
Christian
This one.
Wood, Anthony Davis.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to say that. Joe, do you feel similar as far as a playmaking lineup?
Playmaking.
Yes.
You have to have D'Angelo in there with Austin Reeves, LeBron, AD, and the fifth one's tough. I don't know anyone else on that team that would be able to play make. I guess you can give Darvin Ham his 3-guard lineup in that one and put Gabe Vincent in there.
Okay. Fair enough.
So Gabe Vincent, Reeves, D'Angelo, and then LeBron and AD. I think that would be your best playmaking team.
I think Wood is a better passer than AD in that lineup, Joe. But that would be a nice lineup.
So the next question I have from Kurt Affair is, where does Jackson Hayes fit in all of this? And that's something I want to touch on here, because again, so much or a good portion, I should say, a good portion of the press conference was devoted to Christian Wood, LeBron, AD, of course, Austin Reeves, all that. Not too much was said about Cam Reddish or Jackson Hayes. Where does Jackson Hayes fit in all of this? Kurt is asking. Will there be more lineups with him at the 5 and Wood or AD at the 4? Will he actually even be in the rotation early on, is what I want to ask. Do you think he'll be the odd man out early on in the season, Sean?
Probably. I would say
Do you say he's like number 11?
Yeah, I would, Gerald.
Unless he shows us something in
right.
preseason.
And honestly, Gerald, just given the fact that he's still so raw and undisciplined, I'd be very cautious and pretty much almost against it playing Hayes and Wood together. I don't think that's a good 4-5 defensively. So I think you'd have to have AD playing opposite either one of those guys. So I think Kurt's got a point there. Yeah, I would say Hayes is likely the guy who comes. You know what, Gerald? At least we have a competent center that can do this now. We don't have to, and I'm not going to say his name. We had player who will remain nameless, Wenyan Gabriel, and Mo Bamba, and none of them worked out. I at least have hope,
Oh,
Gerald.
don't forget
That
Tristan Kardashian.
oh God, Gerald, I was, Gerald. Why did you have to do that? That was,
Sorry.
uh, let
You
us
watch
never,
those shows, don't you?
let us never
Nope.
mention that
Yeah, you do.
lineup. Let us
No,
never
don't tell me
mention
what I watch and don't
You
that
watch.
watch
might
it. I just
that
told you.
might
Don't
that
don't. Well, I'll tell you, I don't. And my also the fact I don't even have a Hulu
that might
subscription
be the
tells that.
most wishy-washiest center depth that the Lakers have ever had. Those four guys.
You're probably right on that one.
But anyway, I'm just glad we have a backup center now, Gerald. That in case you gotta break that glass because AD's picked up a couple quick fouls against Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid or Christian Wood isn't really having a great shooting or defensive night. Hayes does two things really well, Gerald. He's all effort and he attacks the offensive glass. He hasn't met an offensive rebound yet, Gerald, that he doesn't think he could smash through the hoop. So
But
at least
he's one of the guys that might really piss off Joe because one of the things that's been complained about him over the years that a small amount of years he's been in the league is his IQ and his floor awareness and the fact that he'll go for a block, leaving the entire space of the key open because he jumped himself out of bounds because he was trying to go after that block that was going screaming out of bounds and instead
yeah,
ended up
Gerald,
being a
it's
layup
almost
for the other team.
right. It's almost like a jailbreak, but
Yes.
instead of actually making it through, he slips on a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I mean,
kind of what
that's
the
what I heard that constantly as
yeah,
far as from New Orleans fans, as far as the insight on that, which is
and
probably one of the main reasons why he's now available and on the Lakers team.
and Gerald, look if you look at the sample size, and yeah, like Joe was saying, it's kind of small, but they tried to actually reduce the amount of minutes that they played Jackson Hayes and
Mhm.
Zion Williamson together, Gerald, because of the IQ issue. It's you have to have like at least half a brain if you're going to be in the core of Zion.
And you notice something else, John, and I'll bring it back to you, Joe. You notice Laker Tom has not even said one thing about the fact that Jackson Hayes is not a stretch five. You know how fascinated he was as far as the possibility of Jackson Hayes becoming a stretch five and was swearing that he would be a stretch five. Now we get Christian Wood.
That
Don't
was
hear
some
Laker Tom
strain of
say.
marijuana he was on when he came up with that idea. I gonna have to ask him about that because that was Gerald. We often take some quick lefts here. That was the quickest left I ever saw in my history of
The car
watching
came
NBA. That Jackson Hayes could
a
be a
stretch.
stretch five.
The show came to a crashing halt, if I remember correctly, on that one. But Joe, your thoughts on Jackson Hayes? I mean, you've got a 22-year-old center who was already let go by his first team, a first round draft pick, top 10 pick, and already you see one team has given up on him. You're seeing the
It's
same thing with
yes,
Cam Reddish.
yes,
So that's,
Gerald,
that's
and it's fair to call him a bust with the Pelicans.
oh,
It's
he's a
fair.
bust right now. Him and
Yeah,
Cam Reddish
top
are
10
draft
pick,
busts.
top
Yeah.
10 pick. Your team didn't retain you for a second contract. That makes you a bust.
Rui Hashimura was a draft bust until the playoffs, if you
Yes, he
really want to look
was.
at it that way. So Joe, I ask you this: what can Jackson Hayes do to turn things around in his favor and get time? Because Christian Wood will be the flavor of the month when he steps in there as far as playing a pivotal role on this team. We already see what the words came out of the press conference. What can Jackson Hayes do to find some time in the rotation?
Defense, defense, and one more thing. Defense.
Okay.
So when you're sitting AD after the first quarter, and if Jackson Hayes comes in and allows the Lakers to sit AD comfortably for 6 minutes to rest him, that would mean that Jackson Hayes is holding down the defense. I don't care if he scores 1 or 2 points. I want his defense to dictate that bench the rest of the year. If he does that, it will have been a surprise. It will have been a huge surprise in terms of his effectiveness and his value. And that's ultimately what his talent is. Weak side defender. On the occasion, he can stay in front of his man. He does have the athletic ability to stay in front of certain speedy guards and forwards. I'm not expecting him to be a consistent one-on-one player. I don't think that's fair. Bigs aren't supposed to necessarily do that. But I do expect him to play, or I would like him to play very good reserve defense. If he does that, let's say if he does that on defense and Christian Wood does what he does on offense, you have the perfect combination to preserve AD and rotate those guys accordingly so that you can preserve AD.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you joining us. Thanks again so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. It is, of course, our conversation on Christian Wood, but we're also throwing in a little bit of Jackson Hayes on that, as far as because these big guys are expected to give us some major minutes to spell AD going forward. And that's the thing, Magic Man. The idea is behind getting Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes is to hopefully provide some competence from the big man position that will give AD rest, that will let AD play less minutes. We do not need him and LeBron playing what I say the other day was like 35 and 33, something like that, as far as respectively. We need them right as close to 30 or under as possible. It's funny because Laker Tom it was talking about embracing blowouts. The Lakers need to embrace blowouts, as if they didn't want to before embrace blowouts. I think you talk to any NBA team, would you like to embrace some blowouts for this year? Sure, we'd love to embrace some blowouts. Absolutely. I would have loved to embrace the 82 blowouts for the Lakers all season long last season. But unfortunately, the NBA parity and the way the league is set up won't always allow for that. So, Sean, I ask you this: besides embracing blowouts, how important is it for them to be competent, for them to at least buy you time, for them to be at least passable enough to that AD can get less minutes on a per game basis?
Well, it's not going to be because of blowouts, that's for sure, Gerald.
But you must embrace the blowouts.
So,
what the hell are you talking about?
That's what Laker Tom said. The Lakers need to embrace blowouts so that the AD and LeBron can play less minutes.
What the fuck does that even mean? What do you mean embrace? Of course you want blowouts. But we discussed this last year on why it's hard to have blowouts in the NBA these days.
Mm-hmm. We certainly did.
Did that go over everybody's
forwards,
head?
Forwards, backwards, sideways. We played that tune. Yep.
Yeah, there's no resting in the fourth quarter during blowouts, because the moment LeBron and AD sit down, those guys go on a 10-0 run in 2 seconds.
So well, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Which is why it's going to be important that Darvin Ham's rotations and offense and defensive philosophy flow within a team concept, and can't rely on AD and LeBron to do everything. This is the part where he's got to get in his inner Popovich to some degree. God help me saying that. I'm talking about basketball. Popovich, when it comes to basketball, is great. Everything else he sucks at, but I'm talking about basketball. So basketball, Darvin Ham has to, it's not just X's and O's. He needs to get the talent out of all these players that have maybe struggled outside LA. And it should be a little easier because they're playing with two of the best players in the league. That's going to be imperative. It's going to be very, very important. Very important that Darvin Ham has a pulse on everyone on this team. Otherwise, he's going to have to rely on LeBron and AD, and then we're having to worry about them getting burnt out again.
I can understand that. Again, just this roster is supposed to be so deep now, Sean. That's something that we saw, and Joe said. LeBron, AD go out of the game, the team automatically goes on a whatever point run. We've seen that so many times over the past few seasons. The Lakers now have this vaunted depth. Probably, if you look at it on paper, probably is this the deepest team in LeBron and AD tenure? I'm going to say
Yes.
yes as
On
well.
paper, yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if this is the
Yes.
case, Sean, we need them when we're up by 15 or 18 in the fourth quarter, or 22 heading into the fourth quarter. Allow LeBron and AD to go ahead and sit down and stay down for the fourth quarter. And the Lakers need to go ahead and maintain those leads. This is the time. This is the season. This should be the opportunity to do it. There are no more ifs, ands, or buts on that. If they cannot do that, then that's a real problem going forward, Sean.
Yeah, it is, Gerald. It is, and that's the key. And I just wanted to mention that I posted the point differential for all 30 teams in the NBA last year, and Boston was number one at a hair over 6.5, Gerald. So that's basically winning each quarter about by a point and a half, which is thin, thin.
Again, it's you got
The
to embrace
margins
the
are so.
blowouts.
You also have to embrace that the fact the margin for error is so slim now in the NBA, Gerald. 25-point lead isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
You're going to have
Well,
to be
Joe even
efficient.
said that. That's the Joe Soro rule.
You're going to have to be efficient on offense to the point where there's no drop off when AD and LeBron sit the bench. And imagine this. Imagine if you're going to manage LeBron's minutes. That's the real one that I'm really, really going to be focused on.
Well, Gerald was talking about AD too. His average in the playoffs is just a little under 38. So, Gerald, I mean, if you're holding him to like under 33, 34, that's really good.
Anything.
Yeah,
And
that's really
the
good.
idea is so that he won't blow up by the time he gets to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, we're all here, Lakers fans, not just Lakers fans, but analysts. Joe, Sean, myself. We all saw how tired and fatigued he was
Well, he
heading
was
into that,
fatigued.
and
Gerald,
so was
Gerald,
AD for that
think
matter.
think of it like a video game. They got a life bar. It's the reserve power bar, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is hurt going into the playoffs. Thus, some guys get injured, so that power bar goes like this, and your health bar goes like this. We can't have AD and LeBron's health bars going like this
Current
throughout the
affair.
playoffs.
I'm
It
going to
can't
say
happen.
Current affair. I'm going to say regular season. If you could get them just 31, that seems to be, or 30. That would be awesome. If you get them around that 31, 32, I'd probably say 31, 30. That would be best. Playoffs, you want to get them to 33 to 30, 34. But we all know that's going to be 35 to 38 in the playoffs. But if you can get them under 35 in the playoffs, I think that would be great, Joe. Your thoughts on that? I mean, you've said first and foremost, you were the first one on this to try and see if we could get it as close to or under 30, especially for LeBron, but also AD. Your thoughts, is that the target goal for the regular season? And what are your target goal for minutes in the playoffs?
I'm not concerned too much about AD playing under 30 minutes. I don't think that's a smart move. He needs to play 34 to 36 minutes. AD does. He's 30 years old. He's in his prime. He can play 34 to 36 minutes. LeBron, on the other hand, needs to play 29 to 30 minutes, which means he has to take 8 minutes to 10 minutes off per half, however you can. The normal rotation in the first quarter is he plays 8 minutes, he sits down for 4 minutes. Ideally, I'd love him to sit another 4 minutes into the second quarter, or plays, let's say, 6 minutes into the second quarter, creates a lead, then you can sit him down until you have to put him back in if the lead becomes an issue. Things like that. Like you gotta kind of gauge the game as much as you can. He needs to sit 8 to 10 minutes per half. LeBron does during the regular season to preserve him and to keep him within that 29 to 30 range. Okay. And you might have to lose some games not killing him. You just have to. If you're in December and you're at 20-12 and it's a back-to-back, right? Don't run them into the ground on that game. We'll understand, and we'll talk about it on the show. That's something we need to make sure we understand. If you're 15-15, it's going to be a problem. That means there's other players not holding their weight. It's likely that Darvin is being stubborn with his lineups, which, according to that damn interview yesterday, it sounded like he is going to be stubborn on his lineups. He finally had to get away from a lot of his stubborn lineups in the playoffs because the pressure was on the win, right? But yeah. I'd like to think that the pressure of winning starts the moment the regular season starts. You're playing in Denver, okay? And then you're playing Phoenix after that, which are likely going to be the two teams you're going to have to deal with in the playoffs. You might have to play both to get to the finals.
Just read that comment by Kurt Affair. That's what's funny. Forget about the two kidneys. There you go. But my friends, just a great conversation. Again, I think a lot is riding on the front court for the Lakers and you know what they could do to spell AD when you consider what we've got with Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, you know, Rui Hashimura, Jared Vanderbilt, you know, even Taurean Prince. I know you said Taurean Prince was more of a small forward than power forward. I have a feeling he's going to be put both at the 3 and the 4 during the course of the season. These guys have not only got to be versatile, but they've got to go ahead and provide rest for AD, that you're not, ADs not always have to be put in a position to bail them out. Same thing for LeBron as well. Go ahead, Joe.
I think you also have to understand that the depth that the Lakers have put together is not all going to be about AD and LeBron also. It's going to be about dealing with possible injuries to the role players during the year and also making sure that if one pops off and one doesn't, you have that figured out.
Adam kind of disagrees with you on the prospect of you don't ever, I don't think you ever lose games to rest someone. Sorry, Joe. Adam, I think he means he just, you know, if it means that LeBron plays less minutes, let's say like from a 30, what he played 35, he averaged 35 last season.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, he was saying that he does not agree with you with your assessment that even if sometimes you see LeBron ailing, you play him less. Like, let's say, you know what, LeBron, we're going to give you 28 minutes tonight. But you know, in that span that he would normally be playing, that
Adam,
let's say that 7 to 10 minute span,
Adam, I want
the Lakers would get outscored and ultimately
I want you to watch, if you can, as much or read up as much you can of the 2014 San Antonio Spurs, and then tell me if you believe that still. It's exactly what Popovich did with Tim Duncan, especially, and almost every veteran on that team. He was able to spread out the minutes to the point where the team was so locked in from top to bottom, whether it was the stars and Kawhi Leonard, Manu, Tony Parker, it didn't matter who it was, Danny Green. They were so locked in, and they beat a LeBron Prime in Miami handedly with an old Tim Duncan, an old Manu, an old Tony Parker, and a fresh Kawhi Leonard, right? Fair enough.
A muffin top Boris Dio and a red rocket named Matt Bonner.
It's going to come down to understanding that the reason why we lost to Denver was because we didn't have enough fuel. And it wasn't anyone's fault, really, because it's just how that year developed. We were dead by the trade deadline in terms of the standings and where we were going. And then to go where we were to the Western Conference Finals, if you really put that in perspective, a new team, new players, new culture, new everything at that point. And for them to go from a 7th seed to the Western Conference Final is an amazing feat. Normally, I don't really care about those type of things, but I think it's important to understand that doesn't happen very much in the NBA. It just doesn't. 7 seeds don't go that deep. You know, a play-in team, an 8 seed going to the finals is not the norm. Yeah, New York went to the finals in 1999, but I don't necessarily count that because that was a 50-game season. You know what I'm saying? Like that's different. It was that season was not normal. Uh, so at this point, we we need to take a page out of Greg Popovich's book in terms of putting those minutes to use the right way. And Phil Jackson was a big proponent on uh, rest, rest mentally, because he was a big mental guy. It's about mental too, not just so much physical. It's the mental part. So I'm going to be in Tom and Trader Tom, which I think actually I like that name better. Trader Tom's defense, yes, embracing the blowouts would be nice. If we're going to put that into the discussion, I believe Darvin Ham should tell his crew, if you guys all play cohesive, like a cohesive machine, you guys will then be able to, like I'm talking about the guys that are trying to get their next contracts. I'm like, the less time LeBron and AD have to play in the fourth quarter, that means more minutes for you. That means you guys can get your stats up because you guys are going to preserve those leads all the way through that fourth quarter. Make it happen. Make it happen that way. That's the psychology of that.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, Joe Soro, and myself, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it, Magic Man. I don't know how you came out to that calculated 0.02% chance, but okay, no worries, my friend. Intel
Yeah,
Wild says,
Maybe
that
because
was
Sean's a genius.
that was
there you go.
the 2 and 10 start, Gerald. That's the
Yeah,
percentage chance we
that's
had.
that's the vaunted ESPN ratio. Is that?
I think that one was from Basketball Reference, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay, okay, yeah, because ESPN does only whole numbers. They only
Yes.
tell you, yeah, yeah. So they were probably like at 1% or 2% or something like that. Intel Wild says in the super chat, and thank you again for your kindness. It's truly appreciated. You do not have to give up 2 kidneys for the Lakers fast break, unlike what Kurt Affair says. We all love you, but this league is definitely about the cash. Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. It is about the money. I mean, we've seen that over the course of the past few days, past few months, as far as the new CBA and the TV agreement that they're trying to reach with all the different variations of that, and of course the extensions and all that. Yeah, a lot of it is about the money. That's rest assured. But Sean, when it comes down to it, winning championships at this point, LeBron is chasing history. At this point, he's got his detractors that are always going to be his detractors. He's got his supporters that are always going to be his supporters. It's already done and over with. I'm not even going to try and argue with that with anybody at this point in time because, you know, the guy can walk on water and still people are going to piss on him at chance they get from what I've seen in the, various chat rooms and things out there. There are just people that just spew constant vitriol about this man. If they're, talking about how he's not one of the greatest 10 players, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I'm not going to try and do anything to win you over because it's just a moot point, just a waste of my time. But I'm just going to tell you right now, LeBron is now chasing history. LeBron is chasing, I don't say he's chasing ghosts per se, but Joe knows he's chasing records which very few people will ever in the game of basketball ever come close to achieving. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. When you're doing so, these things motivate him. But one of the things that's motivating him in chasing history is a championship. Winning that sixth championship is crucial, I believe, to finishing his career on a high note.
Yes, absolutely, Gerald. And again, the questions of having all the greats together and having a conversation about who stands where and the apex of the game. And look, if he won another one, that would give him five. Kobe had five. Duncan had five. Duncan's probably the most constant superstar. He's the first superstar who won a championship after Jordan, and he's the last superstar to win one before the Warriors went on their run. So he's probably the constant in his generation, Gerald. Kobe's the most competitive. There's no, there's no, there's no question about that. If LeBron won five, he'd be the only player in NBA history to have over 40,000 points, 11,000 assists. Over, I think he might get to 11,000 boards, but I don't think so. it'd still be over 10,000 boards. It's an amazing accomplishment. We'll give him 5. It would put him in the same conversation as those 3 plus Jordan, Gerald. Gerald.
Yeah.
He would have a say and a seat at that table with those 4 guys. No question about it. As far as not just one of the greatest players ever, one of the greatest champions ever.
Go ahead, Joe.
The his legacy is different. It becomes different. He it's not the same path as Kobe, as Jordan, whom he's compared to. Kobe came into an already championship contender, which Jordan and LeBron did not. That's what likely kept Kobe from becoming the all-time scoring leader, and he probably would have won 5 or 6 scoring titles had he had his own team from the beginning. Jordan, I'm going to keep having to remind everyone this, and I had this 2-hour tennis match with Young Africa on Jeff's program.
I actually went back in the archives and watched that, by the way. I thought that was pretty amusing.
Great. Michael Jordan, from a basketball player standpoint, is better than anyone that's ever played basketball. Now, when you factor in accomplishments, because accomplishments plays a factor in it, it obviously goes into another setup. But in terms of basketball, no one is better than Michael Jordan. LeBron James can win 3 more titles. It doesn't matter. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player I've ever seen from the basketball standpoint. And it's impossible for anyone to explain any different. Okay, LeBron passes more or passes better. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? I'm talking about skills. There was no weaknesses. There's 2 players I didn't see a weakness. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I did not see a weakness in their game. And Michael Jordan had an athleticism bar a little bit higher than Kobe. He could jump a little higher. His hands were bigger. So that took him over, right? They just were not, you can't compare. It's important to know. So LeBron and what his accomplishments can do to, let's just say, be the best NBA player ever, right? Never a basketball player. If you want to say greatest career, greatest NBA basketball player, when you factor in everything, he's got an argument there. But in terms of actual basketball playing, no one will ever beat Jordan. And it doesn't matter what you say and what stuff you bring in. He's a better pass. It doesn't matter. Basketball. I'm talking about basketball because Michael Jordan could have done anything any of these guys did if he wanted to. It was that simple. All this stuff about, he didn't shoot well from 3. Wake up, pay attention to that era and how they played. It's like saying, well, Lynn Swann only had 3,800 yards receiving. Do you guys not know in the 70s they threw the ball 3 times to receivers? They were not throwing the ball 12, 13 times a game like they are now. Pay attention to the eras. They matter. That's why this whole argument is stupid anyways. So LeBron James,
I would say, Joe, if he went to the weight room before he was 30, it would be inarguable anyway.
But the thing is,
I agree with you.
Okay.
It's inarguable anyway. It's just that no. We could talk about this till the cows come home. I agree with you for the most part.
No. What I'm saying with the weight room thing, there is a distinctive difference between Michael Jordan in 1984 through 89 and then 90 and on. If you watch Michael Jordan playing in 1988, the year he won the MVP, I saw a game he was playing. It was a regular season game. I think it was against the Milwaukee Bucks. And at that time, Milwaukee used to roll the Bulls. They owned the Bulls until Jordan obviously came, and they were just a problem for Chicago. If you just watched Michael moving, you were sitting there marveling at the fact that I'm like, how are you going to guard a guy who looks like he is on crack and controlled. I don't mean that to be funny. I mean, seriously, he was so fast, it wasn't even fair. The Bo Jackson of basketball. You could not keep up with him.
Hmm?
And then the argument is, well, there was no one at that time that was like him. Well, I mean, I saw a picture today of Larry Bird, because Larry Bird always gets called slow white, right? Because people are kind of racists in that, but it's okay because it's a white guy. The guy, Larry Bird, looked like he was off about 2.5 feet. And he was a big man. So I think a lot of this stuff that people say, when you go back and you actually watch, I'm like, what's this rumor? Why did these rumors start? Because it becomes a rumor. I'm like, how is that? What am I blind?
Joe, as a white person, that just comes with the territory of playing in the NBA, Joe. You're gonna have to deal with it. It's a double standard. It's a double standard. What are you gonna do? That's just the way it is in
It's
life.
not about that. It's about being wrong.
Yeah, it is about that.
When you're wrong, despite what you want to say, when you're wrong, you need to be called out. Now, LeBron James has an interesting ending to this career there's a couple ways it can go. LeBron has played in LA. Well, he will finish his contract in 2025, and he will have been in LA almost double the time he's been in Miami. And that's if he retires in 2025. So he'll have been in LA for 7 years. He was in Cleveland for 11. If he wins 2 championships in LA in 7 years, he might get a statue outside Staples. I'm sorry, the Crypt, right? There's a chance. How does his legacy change? Is he a Cleveland Cavalier or is he an LA Laker? Because he will have doubled.
Cavalier. He's a Cleveland Cavalier.
Is he really?
Yes.
Does the king wear purple and gold?
The kid from Akron.
Akron is not Cleveland.
That will never change. The kid from Akron. He's going to be remembered as a Cavalier.
Okay, so let's put it this way then. What if he wins 2 more championships in LA? Then what? Stay tuned. I just put a little bit of a seed in there for everybody.
I'm going to agree with Joe, Sean. I just think that Jordan is, someone who did see Jordan, who was in his teen. I was in my teens when
I didn't disagree with Joe about Jordan.
You said you agree with most everything. What didn't you agree with him on?
Well, I mean, Gerald, he whined his way to the rules being changed about physical basketball. That's another reason why he went to the weight room.
Yeah, but would you consider that also gamesmanship as well?
I mean, sure, but when the rules got changed with Shaq, it was kind of different, Gerald. That's what I'm saying. There's kind of an hypocrisy there. There was leeway given to Jordan's case, but when it came to teams not being able to play Shaq without his own, Shaq.
I cannot disagree with Sean on that one. That is 100% true. Although I don't remember Jordan whining. I believe that David Stern.
I exaggerated, Joe.
I believe David Stern did guide Jordan in terms of protection.
The Jordan rules.
That's the only thing.
But at the same time, the Knicks were still trying to beat everybody up, and they just weren't good enough to beat Jordan.
It was just a physical. It was just
the Shaq thing. The Shaq thing was upsetting, especially after 2002. Like, what I never understood was what was the benefit of implementing the zone at that time? Why didn't you want a dynasty? Why didn't you want a team winning 4 in a row that had Shaq and Kobe? This was obviously before the Kobe situation, so you can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah, Joe.
Why?
And because they thought they were too smart for their own good, right? because they thought, okay, we'll institute its own defense, and that will try to limit Shaquille's dominance.
That
But
was a rhetorical why.
right, and what they ended up doing was diluting the whole damn product.
That was a rhetorical why, and I'll tell you two reasons why, likely why David did what he did. Number one, we saw what happened with this Donaghy guy, and he needed to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He fell into that trap because, in my opinion, David Stern was the best front-running commissioner in sports.
Oh, of all time.
84 to 98, he had Magic and Bird from 84 to basically when Jordan took over in 91, and then he rode that until 98. Had a phenomenal career in those 15 years or 14, whatever, 15 seasons. After that, he was an unmitigated disaster. He didn't know how to adjust. Shaq dominating was an issue because the difference between, and this is number two, which people don't talk about this a lot, but it's important to understand. When you watch Jordan winning in the 90s, if you've noticed, it was always 1 or 2 points that he would win by. So that meant every game was excitement. Every game was to the end. And when you have those kind of games, basically what the NFL has rigged now in the NFL. And when you have those games and then you have the greatest player being the hero in the end, it was a script. It was an unscripted, lucky story for years. It was always the same way. The Bulls beat Portland in 6 games. They were down 15 in the fourth quarter. They won in dramatic fashion. Game 6, they were down like 4 or 5 points against Phoenix. They came back in the last 2 minutes, won. They did it twice to Utah.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, what?
So with that,
no doubt,
Yeah.
because in that series, Phoenix lost all 3 games at home.
Yes. So with that, now when you look back at the Lakers, other than the Portland Western Conference Finals and the Kings Western Conference Finals in 2002, they destroyed everyone. And that was a problem because it wasn't good TV. The New Jersey Nets series was the most let's be honest. Did anyone think they were going to lose a game? I mean, I think I remember Jim Rome after game 3 making probably one of the best shows he ever did, which, says a lot with Jim Rome, where he was basically saying the Lakers were down 7 points in the fourth quarter. And then he said something like that they decided to start playing around the 8-minute mark. It said, yeah, we need to finish this game. And then, of course, that's what they did. So the dominance of the three-peat Lakers, other than 2 series, and in both those series, or I should say one of them, especially the Sacramento series, I still think that the food poisoning thing with the hamburger, I think, set the Lakers back a little bit. I think if Kobe doesn't get sick, I think that becomes a whole different ballgame, or series. But the dominance is what was bad for David Stern at that time. He didn't want to see that kind of dominance. And Jordan, as dominant as he still was playing in competitive games while winning. So there was a big difference in the show. And it's a bummer too, because I wish he had done it a year later. If he had done it a year later, I believe the Lakers would have four-peated.
I agree. That's very sound reasoning indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Magic Man, you had suggested before I suggested Christian Rune, we do Lakers 101. We did a Lakers 101 kind of a half today. So just to let you know, my friend. But Sean, before we head on out, I think we'll go ahead and stay on a little while longer. But Sean, Before we head on out, my friend, I want to hear your thoughts again, bringing it back to Christian Wood again, because his name was so much of a part of what was going on with this press conference. Again, it just seemed like they were going out of their way to go ahead and make sure and let him know that he was loved. If you're Cam Reddish, if you're Jackson Hayes, if you're Torian Prince, if you're Gabe Vincent, who, they're all new acquisitions as well, who didn't get as much love, would you be kind of just like a little bit irked, or just say, you know what, that's fine, just let's get to the court, let's do training camp, and let's go from there? Your thoughts, my friend, on that?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? That's
Because
interesting.
sometimes it gets a little
Mhm.
petty now and then. I'm hoping
I
it
know.
doesn't set off on the right tone.
Yeah, I know. I know. You know what, Gerald? I think in Gabe's case, I don't think that's an issue. He's 27. He's mature. He
Seen quite a
scratched a
bit.
clod. Yeah, he's very professional. I agree,
Yeah.
Gerald. I don't think. But Jackson Hayes and Cam Reddish, green with envy, Gerald. Very likely. Very
Yeah.
likely, given the age. A fellow peer getting all the pub and um, balloons and the dog and pony show. Yeah, maybe it would rub you the wrong way, but
Because they're all
to
three,
to be
financially, they're on the
yeah.
same boat when
If
you
I
look at
was
it.
if I was if I was a member of the PR staff, and obviously I'm not, but I'm sure somebody in the organization kind of had a powwow with the coaching staff and said, "Look, we need to kind of massage this issue with Christian because last summer, before the season started, on media day, their coach threw him under the bus. Oh yeah, he's coming off the bench. Oh, Christian, you're coming off the bench. Did you know that? Well, yeah, Gerald. I think this is more about like letting everything kind of settle and
Mhm.
not throw any wrenches at him where he could feel uncomfortable or unsure of what's going on right now because it sounds like everything's been on the up and up
Well, I could tell you
between
right
both of
now,
them for now.
for now, but I could tell you, Joe and Sean, and I can bring it back to you, Joe, before you get into your dissertation on Jordan, and I'll let you go ahead and do that if you want here in a sec. But when it comes to Christian Woods, it sounds like during the negotiation process, because Rob Pelinka said he was in touch with Christian Woods' agent pretty much every day during the course of the summer, gauging his interest, coming back once they could not find a better deal and signing with the Lakers. I have a feeling one of the things that was, I don't say promised. In this case, I don't think a starting position was promised, but I think a major role in the rotation initially, based on his performance, how it will stay. But initially, he's been promised a major role in the rotation to start off with, my friend.
Well, I don't understand why there would be any concern about what Jackson Hayes thinks.
Well, they're all veteran minimum signings.
Yeah,
They're all coming
I
onto
couldn't
this
give two.
team.
I couldn't give two craps about what Jackson Hayes or any of these or Cam Reddish think about anything. Cam Reddish is a bust at this moment, and so is Jackson Hayes. You guys want to play? You want to start? Reddish not going to start. He won't start ever. Not on this team.
Do this.
Shut the f up, which is what they've done, and play. Jackson
So far.
Hayes. There is a chance Jackson Hayes
Media day is
could
next
start.
week.
There is a chance Jackson Hayes could start, but he'd have to turn into Bill Russell.
Okay.
Right? He'd have to be a windshield wiper on defense. Okay, let's just play it. Let's play it this. Let's say Christian Wood isn't working out. His defense is atrocious, and he's not making the outside shot. And then all of a sudden, you have AD playing the 4, and you're using Jackson Hayes at the 5. And every single time someone goes to the basket, it's being swatted. And it's not AD doing it. Why? Because AD is playing Palomalo defense at this point, right? That's where he's good at. No stat defense. Now imagine that. Yeah, I can imagine it if he can do that. I could see him starting at that point for sure. Imagine having two bigs that can swat your crap. Now you're gonna have to shoot. Now you're gonna have to shoot, and I'll take that. I'll take that risk. I'll take that 40% or 38% chance of that shot going in versus going to the hole, right? Or being any kind of in danger of going to the hole. So for Jackson Hayes, he has a shot. It's like this big. But he's going to have to actually grow basketball IQ. Will he? Can Darvin Ham pull it out of him? I don't know. I don't think so.
So I will, before we head on out, my friend, I still want to cover what you were talking about, because JE kind of raised an eyebrow for Joe with his comment that he said Jordan didn't do anything.
And then he changed it. He changed it about winning championships. See, this is
and I'll give him credit for changing it.
I'm not giving him credit for it because that was a turnaround that he knew what was coming. That's why he turned it around. JE, he turned it around. Okay. First of all, this is a team sport. And I want you guys to open your ears and listen. Okay. There is no one that has ever played NBA basketball. You could go talk to Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach, when they asked Red Auerbach, would you rather have Bill Russell or Michael Jordan? You know what he said? Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Red Auerbach. Jerry West, every single time someone mentions a name, he doesn't even want to hear it. Jerry West, the logo. Red Auerbach, the greatest coach, executive, basketball mind of in NBA history, arguably, right? Pat Riley put a damn 23 in the freaking Miami arena. Okay, guys, I'm gonna clear this up a little bit for you. Okay, Michael Jordan, the year. This doesn't mean Pippen played that year. The year Pippen was drafted, which is 1987. Michael played 82 games, started 82 games, 40 minutes, shot 48% from the field, scored 31.1 points a game, shot 85 from the free throw line. The guy was at the free throw line almost 12 times a game. He was a machine. After that, he was 35, 5-5. After that, he was 32, 8-8 in 89. The guy, whether it was Pippen, whether it was Sean Kemp, whether it was whomever, Jordan would have never changed. Okay? Scottie Pippen won 0 championships without Jordan. I don't know where this thing came from. Well, he needed Pippen. He didn't need Pippen. It was nice that he had him. He did need him to win the championship in a sense of he had help. But to sit there and insult my intelligence and say that Jordan wouldn't be anything without Pippen is bullshit.
147-57.
Do you understand what BS is? Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Sean. I got you.
We got to 30.
Oh, my God.
We got to 30.
Do you understand the difference? Okay. Jordan didn't need Pippen. Pippen needed Jordan to be
victory,
a 6-time world champion.
Everyone, much love to you, everyone out there. Thank you so much for the 30 likes. Truly appreciate it. While Joe is truly telling you the truth. I agree with you, Joe. I mean, Jordan is just, he's just probably something we'll never see again ever in the sport. I just think that, agree with you. He is the greatest of all time. I think people just put me down, sit me in the seat,
30,
say, you got to
31, Gerald. I think
31.
that's a new record for the
You guys want to?
No. We on our big shows we got more when we had those 1,000 shows. Yeah, we had.
You want to hear a stat that's pretty mind-boggling? Okay, other than his second year, he broke his leg his second year. Right?
Ankle.
He broke his ankle. I'm sorry, he broke his ankle his second year. Just say the same way Magic broke his leg. I think his second year as well. Subtract that season. Jordan played 82, 82, 82, 81, 82, 82, 80, 78. The year he came back after retirement, he played 17 games only. So that's another one that we don't look at. After that, 82, 82, 80, 2.
By the way, in that time span, he won about 7 scoring titles.
He won 10 scoring titles.
He won.
He won
he
5
won. He won.
MVPs.
He
He
won
should have
7
won
before he
7. 3 finals MVPs. 3-time Steel champion. Won the Defensive Player of the Year in 1988 and the scoring title. He is the baddest man on the planet in basketball in every facet of the game. Winning, culture, skills,
87, 88, 89,
everything.
90, 91, 92, 93. That's 7 scoring titles for him. Then Robinson, Shaq won theirs. He came back 96, 97, 98. That's 10. Lights out, ladies and gentlemen. Lights out.
And by the way, Phil Jackson said to Jordan, you might have to not win a scoring title to help the team win. So you know what Jordan did? He goes, you know what? I'll help the team win and I'll still win the scoring title. Look, it's a very difficult argument that you're not going to win the argument. Okay? You're just not. The only guy that got close was Kobe Bryant. LeBron is great. He is great. Absolutely phenomenal. But there's 2 players that I never had a chance. Thank God I never had the worrying about Kobe. Jordan was 100% you were worried about, scared to crap when you played against that guy. Steph Curry is scary. Until you get deeper into the playoffs, then it becomes a little bit more difficult for him to hit those shots in the playoffs. The scariest players I ever play. I mean, Shaq had a little bit of a run there because you just couldn't stop him. But Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan scared the bejesus out of everyone. And when you pissed them off, that you were effed.
Joe, when we talk about Shaq and his dominance has more of a like intimidation factor. Intimidation and fear are 2 different things. So yeah, that's correct.
It is true, but you also have to factor in, for those of you who watched the games in the early 2000s, if you really pay attention, especially in certain Portland series games, when Portland had the bigs to somewhat curtail Shaq a little, Kobe would do his thing. San Antonio did a really good job, except in 01, obviously, in keeping a little bit of Shaq at bay. But there was the other guy that took their heart, ate it, and put it back in their chest. They were deathly afraid of Kobe. And that guy busted their ass.
You know, Kurt, I gotta be honest with you. I think my mustache is a lot better than Travis Kelce's. I just gotta.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's looks terrible. He needs to shave it.
I think someone likes it, and I think the whole entire world knows who that is. So she's hanging out with him. Hey,
like you said the other day, Gerald, there's no accounting for taste.
Yeah, exactly. No accounting for taste, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers fast break. Intel Wild, you are truly amazing. I think all 3 of us should bow down to you this evening because we are not worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy of all the tremendous generosity. Well, Joe didn't participate, but we are not worthy of all the generosity and kindness that you have shown us this evening.
Wait, what happened?
Truly appreciate. Don't you ever read the prompts that are on there in the comments?
He's
given us over $50
tonight.
Yes, and super chats.
Yeah, he said if we get to 30, he would give us $30.
Didn't he already give us $30 for 20?
No, he gave us 2, 30, and 20.
Oh,
yes.
Wow! Thank you.
Yes, there you go. Absolutely. Just that's what I was waiting for. Thank you from Joe, indeed. But I tell you what, it truly helps us out. You have no idea behind the scenes how we're actually just trying to see what we can build from this and trying to get it to the point. I was listening to Dan, the Lakers fan, the other day, and I heard about how they took away his monetization for the time being. I'm hoping he gets it back from YouTube. I'm hoping YouTube will allow to go ahead, someone who really does something good for the Lakers community, to absolutely be able to do that. Kurt Affair says Gerald and Sean are Wayne and Garth, and Joe is Ed O'Neill and Makita Donuts. That's a classic. Good one, Kurt. But when it comes to Dan, the Lakers fan, I'm hoping things will go his way. But that's how he makes his living. That's something that we aspire to do someday, is hopefully get to the point where this is something sustainable for us going forward. And we hope to provide that to you going forward as well. But cannot thank you enough. But Joe and Sean, some final comments before we're going to hit it around 2. Go ahead and head on out then. But besides, I don't want to see it more likes and more prospects of that for tonight. Let's keep it as is. But let's close out here in the last 5 minutes. Sean, again, when it comes to it, one last thing. JE said in the chat while Joe was going on his rant, or not his rant, but his explanation on Jordan and his greatness, which I didn't think needed to be explained, but it needed to be explained because I thought it was self-explanatory already. But when it comes to JE, he says that when it comes down to it this season, Jackson Hayes will make a bigger imprint and a bigger, contribution to the team than Christian Wood. Agree or disagree, and let us know why.
Well, that's one person's opinion. Is as valid as the next person's.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that was a bad opinion. I'm just saying
just
that's
one
his
person's opinion. Yeah.
But do you agree or disagree?
Overall, I think sans an injury, I don't agree. Sans an injury or Christian Wood being a doofus in a very negative way, and he finds himself off the Lakers. But I don't expect either one of those scenarios to happen, Gerald. I'm optimistic, man. I really am, that the leadership group in that locker room is going to kind of make sure that everything is even keeled. It's an open, honest communication with this guy so that he doesn't go batty on us. I think you maintain that open line of communication. I I tend to agree with yourself, Joe, like Tom, other analysts who have said he plays a little bit better on defense. What he gives you from an efficiency standpoint on offense, you'll take it. You'll take the good with the bad in that scenario. Sans an injury, I don't think he'll have a bigger impact than Jackson Hayes, Gerald. If Jackson Hayes had two other skills offensively, Gerald, I think you I think you could make that argument. But
But you're saying Christian
Jack,
Witt is going to make the bigger imprint this season.
yes. Jackson Hayes isn't a particularly bright young man with the ball in his hands. Um, can't Doesn't really have much of a dribble drive game at all. Not a good 3-point shooter, Gerald. I think if any one of those skills was average to even below average, you might be able to make a case that he could have a bigger imprint than Wood, but I just don't think that's the case right now.
Again, for me, it's sans an injury, Sean. Christian Wood has to make a bigger imprint for the Lakers to go ahead and achieve all they wish to achieve this season if they don't make a trade. If you're going to go ahead and run, because Joe is convinced that this team in its current format can run all the way to the championship. And Joe, I bring it back to you for some final thoughts on JE, what he said. He said that actually of the two, he thinks that Jackson Hayes is going to make a bigger imprint on the season than Christian Wood. Sans an injury, mind you. But sans an injury, I really think that this team, in order to where it needs to go where it needs to go, Christian Wood has to play a vital role throughout the season and into the playoffs.
I'm sorry, but he hasn't shown the ability to think that way. And the pressure is going to be much bigger in LA than New Orleans.
Of course.
If your basketball IQ is being questioned, see, the difference between Rui not doing well in Washington and then doing well in LA is different. He took accountability for his inefficiencies. He finally had to be humble to the point where he was a healthy scratch in a game last year. And he's like, and I told you guys this on a few shows ago, My guess is his agent and him sat down that day or that evening or talked and said, dude, something has to happen here. Your contract is up at the end of the year. If you want to get a contract, we're gonna have to do something here. And then at that point, he went to talk to LeBron and said, LeBron, what am I doing wrong? Is Jackson Hayes that type of player? What's he done this summer? I don't know what he's done. I haven't heard anything. Basketball IQ is important, especially at the position he's at, especially with a team that's going to demand that kind of mindset. He needs to be the windshield wiper. If he's that player, if he is going to swat every ball that gets near the rim, then he will have exceeded expectations and likely supplanted Christian Wood, because Christian Wood's probably not going to do that. Even though he's averaged 2 blocks in a game, it's a different type of blocks that we need. We need frustrating blocks, or at least diversions. Diversions in a lot of ways is more important. Hell, even JaVale McGee used to do that first few minutes of a game. Like the JaVale McGee was a very tall and lanky type player, and he had a good timing and can jump out the building. It created the game to, okay, guys, I don't know if we want to go to the hole with AD and JaVale. And then you throw in Dwight Howard in there, someone who could body up certain guys and then also send the ball somewhere else. You know, he can be that guy if this is working. But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in the highlights. You know, we're gonna have to see it to believe it.
And it wasn't a few shows ago. It was yesterday.
They also Magic Man. We did 3 shows yesterday alone.
I know,
so.
and I'm on like 3 hours sleep, and my brain is working like a hummingbird at this point.
You and I both.
But I do remember. I do remember Joe bringing up the Rui agent yesterday. It wasn't a few shows ago. I may be a bit delirious, but I think
I'm on 4 myself, so I hear you, my friend, because I finished all the shows. So there you go. Well, there you go. You win, as always. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate it.
He was driving 150 miles yesterday. No kidding. He's only on 1 hour's sleep.
Sean, because there were so many emails that were coming to LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com in my email box today, I didn't get to see what your request was, Rich 2. Go for it, my friend. I don't see an issue with that. So, yeah, just give him a heads up on that. Absolutely. It was great to have him on the show. I'm looking forward to when we can have him on the show again. Z, I wanted to give you a big shout out. Zangerstein, you're truly an amazing part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. Truly enjoyed your comments earlier today and thought they were very productive and truly incredible, and humbled by your continuous support for our show. So thank you so much. And to everybody out there in the Lakers Fast Break community, from Intel, Darren, JE, even staying on with us tonight, truly appreciate it. Everybody that's been a part of our chat, Kurt Affair, absolutely, all of our moderators, Serge, everybody, Dante, everybody that's been a part of our chat, the best Lakers chat. I mean, even if you're not chatting, you know, we truly appreciate you staying with us for the entire show, or even parts of the show, whatever you can catch or whatever you can go ahead and check us out here. If you're coming back for more and you've subscribed, you've liked, you truly are appreciated by us here, and cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day from all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Christian Wood, we want to hear your thoughts. How vital of a role does he need to play for the upcoming season? We want to continuously hear your thoughts on that. Luca, I know you always catch us after the show and put in your thoughts. We always appreciate that. So I want to give you a big shout out. If you are at tomorrow here in Las Vegas area, if you are going to the Hawaii UNLV game at Allegiant Stadium, I will be there. How will you know I'm there? I will be wearing my unofficial Lakers Fast Break shirt with the Joe logo on it. It has the Joe logo. So if you are around watching the game and you see me, come up and say hi. I'd love to see you. I'd like to say hi and thank you for supporting us here at the Lakers Fast Break. So we also, if you're not going to the game, got some great stuff for tomorrow or later today, as it's now midnight everywhere, past midnight for everyone out there here on any coast right here in the U.S. or Canada. Magic Man, I know you've got a great conversation later tonight, but it starts off at 1 p.m., 1 p.m. Pacific with the Lakerholics. They're going to be talking with you, hopefully, as well, if you get some sleep. Hopefully, talking about training camp coming up. So that'll be the spotlight. But I think you've got a conversation coming up at 7 or 8 p.m. Pacific, I think. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's 8 p.m. Pacific time. Yes, Joe.
Okay. Absolutely. And who may
Yeah,
pray tell could that be? It's a nice get. It's a very
yeah.
nice get.
It's a nice get. It's a heavy hitter in the NBA, Mr. Tony Jones. Been with the Salt Lake Tribune since 2008, Gerald. So not only
Works
just
with the Athletic.
absolutely the athletic, not only now just a Jazz and the Nuggets insider, Gerald. He's become an all-encompassing NBA insider. So should be a great conversation.
Absolutely. Utah Jazz going to see as far as that team report. And on Sunday, you've got one coming up with the Dallas Maps as well, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be cross promoting with We Talk Mavs, and a guy I just met, Real
Mhm.
host We Got Mavs. Him and his podcast partner King, Real and King, will be here on Sunday for us at 8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. That's 10 o'clock on the Central Time Zone because they're coming from us from the Dallas Fort Worth area. So
Okay.
not only have me and Gerald and Joe been juggling scheduling issues, but time zone issues as well.
So, yeah, absolutely. And
Because
plus,
at times we have to look into coordinating three time zones at once, which is not
absolutely.
easy.
That is not easy, but trust me. And then try doing the overseas ones, like the UK one for Miami Heat. John, that was really that was a little bit of an undertaking. I've done ones before with Singapore, Australia, South America. I've done, I think UK. Yeah, I've done UK quite a bit. I think Ireland. I've even done one if I remember
Ooh,
correctly. But yeah,
wow.
those over the years. Those are always hard because Australia. One of my favorite guests on the Pop Culture Cosmos comes from Australia. So that's, yeah, the time change is always the difference on
Well,
that. That's always hard
the
to do.
next time you have him on, I have to be on, Cheryl,
Oh,
because
Ben Arnault from
Ben
Smoking
Arno,
Hot.
yeah,
Yes,
because
Smoking Hot Confessions, man. If you love your barbecue, he is the best person to talk to right there. So absolutely.
grilling weather is pretty much over for us here in the Great White North,
Oh,
Cheryl. But
but for him, it's just beginning because remember, it's their summer coming up
summer,
here.
yeah,
Yeah, but I will tell you this: we truly appreciate having you on the show. Truly cannot thank you enough, Joe Sorrell, Magic Man, Sean Grice. Truly cannot thank you enough for being part of what you're doing here for us, the Lakers Fast Break. Big shout out one more time to Intel. Please go ahead and thank him in the chat, like everybody has. Everybody's been so gracious, but everybody who's taken time out of their day in the chat, the best Lakers chat room that's out there, the Lakers Fast Break. It's truly appreciated. So for Joe, Sean, and myself, thanks so much again for watching and listening. We'll see you later today with some Lakerholics. I will be at the football game, but the Lakerholics will be here in my stead. Joe, you may join them. It's up to you, my friend. But I know that Sean and Jamie and Laker trader Tom will be there. So you guys can go ahead and
Trader
talk about
Tom.
Laker Tom will be there. So you
Trader Tom.
Laker Tom will
You
be
make him
there.
sound like a scumbag with the Laker trader stuff.
Well, I'm just telling you that's you called him Trader Tom. I call him Laker Tom because
You
that's what
called
he
him
wishes to go.
Trader Tom. It doesn't sound good.
I said, well, you called him
Very
trader,
negative.
not trader, not
Trader,
traitor.
Trader, 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 Laker, Trader Tom. There you go. You called him Trader
I
Tom.
know what you
Uh,
said. It didn't sound well, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 12 o'clock midnight. We're all going
I
off
don't
a
care what
combined
time it is.
7
7 hour sleep. So sorry.
I kind of care what time it is.
Oh, last thing. Yes, we are the final stages of the merchandise. So we did say around training camp, and Joe's got that worked on. See, look at that sly smile. Look at that. He's got the hookup for you. He's got it.
He's the cat.
Yeah,
He's the cat that ate the canary.
yeah. Scott Steiner. Yes, gonna give you the
Yeah.
hookup. Absolutely.
Oh.
Yes. Just don't do Scott Steiner mathematics. That's all I ask you. Yes. That would just lead you in the wrong direction. So for Joe Sorrell, Sean Grice, And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
I know what
type
you're
it.
talking about.
YouTube. Well, I'm telling everybody out there, YouTube, Scott Steiner, Impact Mathematics comes right up for you. You'll know what we mean. So for Sean Grice, Joe Sorrell, me, Gerald Glassford, thanks so much for watching this thing. We'll see you later today with a great interview tonight with Tony Jones and the Lakerholic Spotlight on training camp coming up for you. The great Lakers weekend ahead right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
There's more unborn every minute. That was Scott Steiner.
No, come on. Scott's good.
He's an idiot.
The man can wrestle.
His parents are probably idiots too.
They're graduates of Michigan University.
You know what? Not everybody